I've got good news and bad news. Here's the bad news. Most protein bars are packed with sugar and unpronounceable ingredients. The good news? There's a better option. I'm Will, and I created IQ Bar plant protein bars to empower doers like you with clean, delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel. IQ bars are packed with 12 grams of protein, brain nutrients like magnesium and lion's mane, and zero weird stuff. And right now, you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus free shipping. Try our delicious IQ Bar sampler pack with 7 plant protein bars, 4 hydration mixes, and 4 enhanced coffee sticks. Clean ingredients, amazing taste, and you'll love how you feel. Refuel smarter, hydrate harder, caffeinate larger with IQ Bar.
Go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20 to get 20% off all IQ Bar products plus free shipping. Again, go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20.
Welcome to the Dogs Podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
Hey, what's up, Browns fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Dogs Podcast. We got Josh All, and I've got Kenny Mack with me today. Not from the Great White North. Yeah, today he's from the great, not so warm South down in Florida.
Yeah.
The weather's not exactly cooperating down there for you.
No, it's cold. I'm in Clearwater Beach right now. One thing I didn't know, if you guys are in the Discord, you probably found out because I sent a ton of pictures. I've been a wrestling fan since I've been 10 years old. Hulk Hogan's is from here. His bar is just literally a 2-block walk from here. I had a blast at it. It was a great time.
That's cool. That's awesome. All right. Well, so today, everybody, Kenny and I are bringing you, we typically try to do at least one of these episodes every offseason to talk about the free agency preview for the Cleveland Browns. I did the breakdown of the roster and the state of the roster last week, and with 32 expiring contracts on this team, the Browns are going to have a lot of work to do in free agency. So we were putting notes together. Kenny's got some guys he's going to present. I've got guys I'm going to present. And whenever I was going through my list of guys and people that I wanted to present on the show, I realized I really only got through offensive line and a little bit of receiver. Like, I didn't even get to the defensive side of the ball. So there's probably going to be a part 2, hell, who knows, maybe a part 3 of free agency preview here before the new league year opens up here in a couple weeks, just because the Browns need so many things. But dude, we've got some names to bring to you guys. What's that, Kenny?
I was going to say, I couldn't agree with you more. I had a hard time, and as we were talking before we just started this, I had to change my guys a couple of times because we needed so many players. I couldn't make up my mind on a couple. And it's a little bit harder. We don't really know what we can spend yet. Guys haven't been restructured. I'm going to go, and we've had discussions feeling that, we have to move forward and restructure Deshaun. So that'll open up some stuff. So I got a little bit better quality players I was able to put there. So we'll see what happens, but we'll get through this and have a little bit of fun.
And I would say, and I don't know if you agree or disagree with this, Kenny, but I feel like, I'm expecting the Browns to make maybe 1 or 2 kind of those big splash moves where they really go and pay heavy for a player that we really need, probably on the offensive line. Mm-hmm. But after that, I feel like a lot of the players that we sign in free agency are going to be the who players, the 1 year, $2.5 million contract guys, $4 million for 1 year type of players, the low cost 1 year deals, and then they're going to be gone after this season. I feel like that will be the bulk of what we do in free agency.
Yeah. And kind of what I'm hearing from you is like, you got your high ceiling guys that are about 26, 27, 28 years old. You're going to spend anywhere from $2 to $7 million on them. And that's kind of originally where my thought process was when we were talking about the players that we have, but I do have maybe some splashier moves. So we'll see what everybody thinks.
Okay. Well, I'm going to turn the floor over to you to kind of present your opening statement for free agency preview. And then if you want to lead into your first player that you want to talk about, feel free to do so.
Yeah, I think I just want everybody to understand, like, I what I'm looking for in players is basically what Todd Monken said in his presser, and then the Cleveland Browns with Nathan Zegura did another interview, kind of combined everything together. And what I hear him saying, and I think you guys will agree, if not, or if I missed anything, put something in the comments, but he's looking for high effort, high motor competitors, mentally tough, accountable players. So guys who own up to their mistakes, smart players who can execute under pressure, and versatile players with at least one elite trait that he can exploit. So, and you guys must clearly remember when he said every player has at least one elite trait. That's whether in the NFL, you just have to find it. And he favors that and loves to exploit it. Team first players who love football, fast processors, not just fast runners or high physical trait guys. So I have a little bit too broken down per position, let's say, but I think the simplest way to describe a Monken player would be not just talented, and I know Barry's going to look for that talent, but they got to be tough, accountable, intelligent, and obsessed with improving. And I'm sure that rang true to a lot of you guys. And maybe the exact archetype in one sentence would be something like high effort, mentally tough, coachable players who execute consistently and compete like it's 4th and 1 every day. And everybody loved that last sentence. I think you'd agree with me, right, Josh?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because, I mean, the Browns don't find themselves too many 4th and 1s. It's more like 4th and 8s, but, I'm with you.
Yeah. So
maybe if we execute like it's 4th and 1 every play, maybe we will. Maybe we can change that up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll kick it off. I'm going to start with maybe more of a splurge. It's kind of a 2-for-1 deal, but we'll get into that. I'm looking at Rashid Shaheed. I love what he did for Seattle and boosted their special teams. I mean, obviously you always want to be in a game of field position. He's a guy, receiver, 6 foot, 180 pounds, 26 years old. That's definitely something that Barry's always looking for. He came undrafted out of Weber State, and we know he primarily on offense is going to be an explosive playmaker. Motions a lot, but mainly a vertical Z receiver, and obviously that 2-for-1 return specialist. So here's kind of what I'm looking for. And number one, with a receiver, Monken's looking for route discipline, and this guy's pretty good, runs the correct routes consistently. Now, he does a lot of go routes, right? So that's kind of what we want to see. Deep posts, go routes, overs, deep crossers, slot fades. A lot of this is going to be because it's going to be a precise-based system, especially with play action. We just want him to blow the top off the defense. And with that speed, he gets separation. He's got true vertical speed. He's 4.3 range. Acceleration off the line's good. He's a smooth strider with efficiency. And the biggest thing is with his separation, it comes in multiple ways, vertical, horizontal. He can also separate off route stems. And this is why Monken would love this guy in his offense. He excels at everything: play action, deep overs, slot fades, vertical clear outs, and immediate crossers. And here's the thing, like when I was looking up a guy, like obviously we have a run game coordinator that was with the Ravens that is now our offensive coordinator. His effort in blocking, I didn't think it was going to be that good, but I guess it's like slightly underrated. He actually, based on what film shows, actively engages in perimeter in the run game, hustles downfield on long runs. He competes on every snap. So that's 4th and 1 mentality, man. And his hands last year, super reliable. I know that there's been some occasional concentration drops in his entire career, but I mean, there's no perfect player out there either, right? Right. Now, the one that got me was mental toughness. And I don't know how sometimes you can make that trait or like prove it, but consider this. He was undrafted from Weber State. He was basically, when you're undrafted, you have no guarantees. He earned a roster spot. So you had to give effort. And where do you usually earn a roster spot if you're undrafted? It's special teams. And not only is he good, he's like an all-pro at that. Now, what he's able to do, be able to coach up with mental toughness. He earned success to get onto the actual offense. So I think that would definitely be a mental toughness and coachability evaluation of an A, man, from my standpoint. Then as long as you're not making mistakes, this has got to show great football intelligence as well, because he's not making mistakes as a UDFA, and he's working his way up the ranks and being a pretty good receiver. So he's really good, especially he's effective as he's come through as a player, and play action concepts, scramble drills, and the vertical spacing is what's kept him on rosters and kept him thriving. So what I see from him this year, if we were able to get him, I mean, you look at 50 catches, maybe 750 to 1,000 yards, a couple TDs. But the main thing I want from this guy, shore up my special teams. I want a returner with a name on it, man. And I want to win the field position battle to help Shedeur out and help develop this offense. So overall, the verdict on Rashid is he's a great fit. He's a high effort guy, tough competitor, very coachable, explosive weapon, and he's executes the correct roles. And that's kind of the evidence that I've given you guys. But ultimately, what I'm looking for is a guy that, while he had 59 receptions and 687 yards and a couple touchdowns, and he had a big impact on special teams, I'm looking at him like a Zay Flowers guy who had about 86 receptions and he had about 1,200 yards last year with 5 touchdowns. Is about a 14.1 yard average, and that's where I would like to see him go. But what I'm really looking at is for Monken to develop him as that Flowers Bateman type duo with Bond. And I think that's something that coaches do when they're familiar with something that worked, they'd move forward with it. And Josh, I don't know if you'd want this, but I mean, we pick him up for maybe 3 years at $14 million a year, and him and Bond have a seasons like Bateman and Flowers did the last 2 years. That'd be pretty good for us, right?
I mean, it'd be better than anything we've had in recent memory. I mean, outside of a couple big seasons from Amari Cooper, we have not had much to speak of with the wide receiver unit. Just that we don't invest in that unit. We don't prioritize it when we're drafting. It's just like the forgotten unit, and it shows up every Sunday, it seems like. Did you have anything else about Rashid Shaheed?
No, that's where I'm at with that. And guys, I'm still drafting a receiver in the first round. I'll put that out there too.
Absolutely. No kidding. Well, since you did Rashid Shaheed to kick things off, I'll scroll down and I'll talk about the one receiver that I really dived deep into. So I want to preface this by saying, first of all, what I should have said at the top of the show is go to jointhedogs.com if you guys want to be part of these type of discussions in the Discord. All the time. We're in there all the time talking about free agents. Have you looked into this guy? This guy could be a value for the team or a good fit for this position or whatever. So if you want to be part of those conversations, you want to hang out with the Dog Pack, jointhedogs.com. So I've got a couple people on my list here today where I did things a little differently than I've done in years past. I'm not just bringing guys that I want the Browns to sign. I'm also going to bring some names that I know people out there in the fan base have commented excessively that they like this player. They want the Browns to go after him. And maybe it's not such a good idea. And that's the receiver that I'm going to talk about today. This is not I want the Browns to go get this guy. This is let's be careful what we wish for if they do. And my receiver I'll talk about here is Romeo Doubs from the Green Bay Packers. He's 25 years old, 6'2", 204. Spotrac projects him at a 4-year, $48 million deal. So that's around $12 million per year. So a little bit less than what they're projecting for a guy like Rashid Shaheed. Romeo Doubs, he played in 16 games last season, had 83 targets, 55 catches, 724 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Now, over his 4-year rookie contract in Green Bay, he posted 202 receptions, 2,424 yards, and 21 total touchdowns. He runs about 83% of his routes on the outside, about 17% from the slot. So he's more of your outside receiver. The skinny on Doubs, I like Romeo Doubs as a player, but there are red flags all throughout his deeper analytical profile that worry me, especially if he comes to Cleveland. He only has a 1.73 yards per route run in 2025, and that was actually the highest of his entire career. His career yards per route run is just 1.52. You guys know for me, that number has to be over 2 at minimum. So he is well below that threshold, in my opinion, for a guy that you're going to pay this type of money. Now, not every receiver you go sign in free agency is going to have that mark in the metrics, but at this price point, I want him to be a little better there. He's got just 3.2 career yak per reception, so he's not much of a threat after the ball gets in his hands. Just a 48.2 contested catch rate, which isn't terrible, but you'd like to see it be over 50 and maybe even closer to 60% for somebody of his play style. and he has 17 drops over his 4-year career, which is a 7.8% career drop rate. Drops have been a bugaboo in Green Bay for Romeo Doubs. And that just concerns me playing alongside the drop king, which is Jerry Jeudy. So, who's a wide receiver that I would sign in free agency? Again, you're not signing guys like George Pickens. You're not going after Mike Evans or Deebo Samuel at their ages and their price points. Plus, they're not coming here anyway. You're not spending huge and fighting over a guy like Alec Pierce, who now they're reporting the Colts aren't even going to let him hit free agency anyway. You're probably not fighting over Wan'Dale Robinson. So all this points to why I always say like Kenny said, you got to draft your top receivers in the draft or go trade for them because they aren't available in free agency. In free agency, I would sign a guy like Jalen Nailor from the Minnesota Vikings. He's 26 years old, 6 feet, 190, played for the Vikings, like I said, but managed 444 yards, 414 in the last 2 seasons, despite being the 3rd or maybe even 4th in the pecking order. Caught 10 touchdowns over the last 2 years. Inside, outside versatility, pretty much a 50-50 guy in terms of time spent in the slot versus out wide. He's good contested catch player, 63.2% rate over his career. Again, you're not getting like a wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2 in free agency. They don't exist there, and they're not coming here even if they did. But I think Nailor is a type of guy that could be a nice piece added to the wide receiver group. He might even be better than Cedric Tillman on a play-by-play basis. At least Nailor has a better chance of being on the field consistently. And Spotrac says, he's like a 1-year deal worth about $4.7 million, kind of like I said at the top of the show. So that would fit what we need to do on this roster and honestly at that position.
Yeah, I keep hearing what you're saying, and like, it was tough to do Rashid, to be real with you. The only reason like I'm doing him is I really want to nail the point home that I need to fix special teams. Yes. And again, like for something that we could get from him, you're definitely going to always overpay for a receiver and not get the real fair market value because we need to fill holes. So you overpay for that, right? So that's why I keep advocating, let's go for receiver for both picks, but I kind of wanted to do something sexy, a great, like a fun pick. And Shaheed is that for sure.
Oh yeah.
Do I feel confident about it? He's probably going to follow Clint Kubiak, to be real, right? We'd have to shell out more money than what I just said.
For sure.
But I like the guy that you're looking at, Nailor. I almost did him.
Okay.
We shared notes, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna go for the splash pick, But with the one outlying thing or underlying thing is that you and I feel we need receivers bad, and when you take a look at that depth chart, that's not a hard thing to surmise, right?
No, not at all. It's a major need for this team, and so is offensive line. So before we shift there, did you have any other receivers you wanted to bring up, or are you ready to kick it over to the O-line?
Just based on your last conversation last night or 2 nights ago, I'm not on the AJ Brown train either. So
okay. Yeah, just to me, it just doesn't make sense. Again, not that I don't like AJ Brown. I think he's a hell of a player. Great football player. Just does not fit what we need and what we're trying to do and what we're able to do with the cap. Like I don't see how it fits.
It's the cap thing 100%, but I can move into the offensive line if you want.
Yeah. Okay. Bring me your first guy.
This episode is partnered with Kalshi. Browns fans, are you ready to put your money where your predictions are? With Kalshi, America's #1 regulated prediction market, you can legally trade on events that actually matter to you. And the best part is you don't need to predict specific stat lines and compile a 7-leg parlay just to win big. With Kalshi, the objective is either yes or no. Will Shedeur Sanders be the Browns' Week 1 starting quarterback? Will Fernando Mendoza be the first overall pick in the draft? Will the Browns make their pick at 6, or will they trade out of that spot? And in other sports, will the Cavs win the NBA Finals? You can put your money on these predictions and more with Kalshi. If you want to try it out, Kalshi is giving $10 to anyone who signs up at kalshi.com/dogs and trades $100. Get away from disadvantageous sports books and dive into real-world outcomes with real-time odds and real payouts. Head over to Kalshi, KALSHI.com/dogs, DAWGS, or just click the link in the description to get $10 when you trade $100 with Kalshi. Because why shouldn't you get paid for being right?
So my first guy, man, I stressed out about this because I've been listening to Josh and the state of the team, and like I'm just super scared about the guard position. So I'm signing Dylan Parham. I like the guy. Listen, this guy is 27 years old. He's right in the wheelhouse where Barry wants an age for a second contract. I found that he was 311 pounds up to 332 pounds. I went with 332 because that's what the Raiders state he is. He's got some versatility. So his primary position is left guard, but he's played right and center. He is along the lines of a high effort, mentally tough, coachable guy, executes consistently and competes like it's 4th and 1 every day. It's a super strong match. And the reason he does is because he's not a tall guy. So his entire profile or his entire game is kind of built around reliability, intelligence, effort, and not really flash or, I guess RAS, like the big physical parameters. So he always wins with consistency, technique, intelligence, assignment discipline, and competitive toughness. And this is like hallmarks of our new offensive line coach, George Warhop. And, obviously from what I said about Monken, that's what he's looking at too. But trait by trait evaluation, tough, it shows up. He battles through contact consistently, battles larger defensive tackles, rarely loses, and he competes snap to snap with a high motor. This guy doesn't quit on reps. And the only time that he kind of fails a little bit, he can get overrun a little bit, but he's definitely not a mauler like Wyatt Teller. And that's kind of something I was looking for, but based on the pressers, that's not what Moncton prioritizes. He's smart. He's obviously being a center in college, it went a huge way. This guy identifies stunts, passes off defenders well, adjusts to protections, recognizes blitzes, and he's rarely busting assignments. And that's super important for Monken because he requires protection adjustments, blitz recognition, and he needs mentally flexible guys. The guy's technically sound. This is where George Warhop comes in. Excellent hand placement, strong leverage, balanced base, efficient footwork, and he's rarely off balance. Communicates well. Again, he played center at Memphis, handles line called there. Strong awareness of defensive fronts, and also effective at passing off twists and other game changes. He definitely is a guy that can improve line cohesion. And man, Josh, the line cohesion last year, oh my God, can we please fix that? This guy sounds amazing. The guy's reliable, doesn't miss assignments, doesn't bust protections, doesn't make mental errors. He's just dependable. And he's a guy that can do inside, outside zone, combo blocks. He climbs to the second level with linebackers very, very well. So he's a guy that I'm definitely looking forward to the Browns with his versatility. While he doesn't have the athletic profile that I'm generally used to looking for, maybe more for Stefanski, he's got those strengths of the good lateral movement, efficient footwork, functional strength. He's got balance and control. So I think this guy can definitely fit in. He'll be like a match like Zeitler was here, or the way they kind of had Ben Cleveland's role in Baltimore, who was a guy that was just had to play a little bit smarter. So I think we can get him. I kind of average between Spot Track and what they were saying on PFF, 2-3 years, $11 million. And he's a guy that I think is ideal for Moncton with his toughness, smartness, his reliability, communication. And I think PFF puts it best. This guy was a 4-year starter with the Raiders. He might not be a Pro Bowl caliber player, but he's a capable starter on the offensive line. He's only 26, and there's some upside. And I definitely say there'd be some upside when you have a coach like Warhop. At worst, he's a solid floor player. And this is what you and I were talking about. Like, let's get some of these solid floor players on a 1 or 2 contract, maybe 3, and let's get an identity on this Browns team.
Exactly. And whenever I was putting together my offensive line guys, obviously I've got a center I'm going to talk about, who I've talked about a ton. I've got a left tackle in here I'm going to talk about, but I was like, I got to find somebody at the guard position that I'm really excited about for the Browns to go after free agency. And Dylan Parham was the guy that I found. So that's awesome that you brought him up. And you're right. It's not like we're getting this perennial Pro Bowl player. But you got to remember, guys, you can't have 5 Pro Bowlers on your offensive line all the time. You have to have reliable starters that you can plug in next to guys that hopefully ascend to Pro Bowl status. But you got to have consistent, reliable linemen on your offensive line. I think Parham can be that for us. And one thing in my notes, one of the first things I went and looked for, I said, okay, he played for the Raiders. I need to see how he performed against the Browns in week 12. Because the Browns went into Las Vegas, whooped up on that offensive line of the Raiders, 10 sacks. It was such a dominant performance. And I'm like, okay, surely Parham was one of the guys that got embarrassed in that game. Parham allowed just 1 total pressure and 0 of those 10 sacks. He didn't give up a sack in that game against the Browns defensive front on 60 pass blocking snaps in that game. And guys, those were some very intense pass blocking snaps. So that was impressive to me to see that he held his own against us. I thought that was really good.
And I think what I want everybody to understand what I'm saying is, like, I was really hammering home the fact that he's reliable. And just based on what you said, on a really bad game by the Raiders and their offense, he was still reliable.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's exactly the type of guy we need to go after, because he's at a good value as far as his market projection and what they would have to spend to get him. And he fits that young mold, right? Because they already said we're going younger and everything. So I'm not looking for them to go out and be signing guys that are 31 years old in free agency, unless it's just to like a 1-year deal and they're going to be a depth piece on the defensive back end or something like that. Parham at 26 fits that bill of a younger guy who's going to come in here and be a staple of the offensive line for at least the next 3 years. And who knows
Absolutely
where it goes after that. So I love that pick. I think that's a great player. The guy that I'm going to talk about real quick, you guys know who my favorite offensive lineman is if you've watched this show. I need the Browns to go get me Tyler Linderbaum. He's got that connection with Todd Monken and Paul Warhop, from Baltimore. 6'2", 305, 25 years old, former first-round pick. Ravens took him in 2022, 25th overall out of Iowa. 4 years now in the league. He's coming off that rookie deal, looking for that big second contract. Spotrac market value got him at 4 years, $70.9 million, worth about 17.7. So we could just say $18 million per year. This would be the big splash signing if the Browns were able to go out and obtain Tyler Linderbaum. He was the 5th highest graded center last season with an 80.3 offense grade per PFF. His run blocking was the 4th best center at 83.7. That's huge. We know this team wants to build an identity on the run game. Every move they've made, every player, personnel guy they've signed on the coaching staff for the offense side of the ball has been geared toward running the ball. So this would be great. Your center is key component to how well your run game operates, and Tyler Linderbaum would be the best possible outcome for this team. He was tied for 31st in pass blocking at 63.4. So his pass blocking is not exactly on the same level as his run blocking, but that's okay. Not everybody can be, high level at everything. He allowed just 26 total pressures on 536 pass blocking snaps, only 2 sacks allowed all season. He's still got work to do, like I said, in that pass blocking game, but he's not bad at it. He's just not as good as the run game. But that's where I need him. That's where I need him. And I think that his experience, his high level of play, he is that Pro Bowl caliber type of offensive lineman that we could go acquire. And I think that really helps, especially a young quarterback, because your center is going to come up. You're going to identify, things on the defensive side of the ball pre-snap. You're going to be calling out some protections. You're going to be helping that quarterback. I think that's the move that I need the Browns to really focus on more than anything when free agency opens up.
Yeah, you have a guy like that. If you get Parham, those two guys can work together, and you're kind of passing off blockers. So while something might not be strong for one of the guards, Linderbaum can kind of make that work. I'd be thrilled if we invested in that much money in the center position. And then, there's another guy that's out there, Ed Ingram from the Houston Texans. I would probably sign him. He's a great run blocker. He's somebody that could maybe $5-6 million a year. And the guy's got a run blocking grade of 79.9. And he finally got his pass blocking up last year, but he does struggle. But if you had those 3 guys, and you're looking at 18 and 11 plus maybe another 5, you're under what you were paying your previous 3 for the last 3 years substantially.
Yeah, and I think that's what they have to try to do. You know, Blake said the other night, we need 5 new starting linemen. Really, we do. If they decide they're going to roll with one more year trying to use DeJuan Jones at one of the tackle spots, okay, fine. I think that's a mistake, but that could be a possibility. But I think they really do need 5 new starters. And, you know, we've talked about it. You're not going to have 5 rookies. Blake doesn't think you should have more than 2 rookies on the offensive line to start with. So you're going to have to get a center tackle guard, like he said, in free agency. And I think if you're able to get Tyler Linderbaum, a guy like Dylan Parham, that would be a great start for the offensive line. So do you have another offensive lineman you want to go through before I hit my tackle?
No, I just wanted to mention the one that I just mentioned. But like, I mean, again, like with this, what we're talking about, and we say we get all 3, the 2 guards, the center we just spoke about. I'm still going, and I'm getting what's his name, Pregnon from Oregon.
Bregnon,
I'm still drafting him if the second round, if I can, because I need him to supersede one of these guys. But I need guys that can work today and get this offense rolling this season, and then the rookies can come up through the ranks when they can.
Oh, I love that. That's a great call out for him too, the kid out of Oregon. So I'll just highlight real quick. Obviously mentioned him on the show the other night. I did some short videos talking about Rasheed Walker, the left tackle from the Packers. And this is another guy that I'm going to talk about here with you guys that I don't think the Browns should prioritize in free agency. And I'll go through that real quick. So he's
I'm 100% with you too, brother.
Okay. So he's 6'6", 324, 26 years old. He's a former 7th round pick by the Packers, 250th overall out of Penn State in 2022. So this is a guy who was not a highly, touted prospect coming out of college, and he worked his way into that starting rotation. Now he's got himself set up for a big payday with this big second contract that he's going to get in free agency. 4 years in the league, coming off, like I said, that rookie deal. Spotrac market value has him at a 4-year, $81.1 million. That's $20.3 million per year. And this is where my issues start with Rasheed Walker. So that would put him, the $20.3 million per year, say that's what he does get. That puts him just outside the top 10 highest paid left tackles in the league. But the problem for me is he is not just outside the top 10 left tackles on the field. While he's good, I don't think he is, top 13, top 12 left tackle good. He had a 63 offensive grade, 71st among, now this is all offensive tackles, so both right and left, but he was 71st there. A 53.7 run blocking grade, that's 106 among all tackles. He's not good in the run blocking game. And a 69.3 pass blocking grade, which was 56th. He allowed 40 pressures, 32 hurries, 5 sacks. That's the same number of pressures, actually more hurries, and just 3 fewer sacks than Cam Robinson, who we just endured for a whole season watching him play, and we're not doing that again.
No thanks.
Rasheed Walker also deals with penalties. So I'm fearful that if the Browns go and they make Rasheed Walker one of the higher paid left tackles in the league, we're going to be right back on this show a year from now blaming Andrew Berry for putting another big contract onto the wrong player yet again. Instead, this is what I would like to see the Browns do. I would like to see them look at a guy like Josh Jones from the Seattle Seahawks. Now he's 6'5", 310, a little bit older than the other guys listed here on this show. He's 28 years old, still a young player though. It's not like he's 31 and this, he's got a year or two left. He could still play out this next contract very well. He's a former 3rd round pick by the Cardinals in 2020. And Spotrac has him at a 1-year, $3.5 million deal. So that would be a good price point that fits perfectly into this 1-year contract model for Andrew Berry and some of these other role players that we need on the roster. Now, he didn't start for Seattle except for 3 games from week 16 through 18 this past season. He started at left tackle. But he logged very good PFF grades across the board in those 3 games against the Rams, Panthers, and 49ers. And he has experience playing every single position on the line except for center. So a guy like Josh Jones, I feel like, would be a good signing for this team, whether he's pegged as a starter for this year or he's just going to be your top, your O-lineman 6th, basically your 6th man on that unit to come in here and fill in for anybody who might get hurt or be out for a player, a game, or whatever it is. The market, I just want to say this real quick, the market for tackles, especially left tackles, it's not there this year, guys, in free agency. Go look at it. That's why Rasheed Walker is going to get the bag in free agency. I don't believe it should be the Browns who give it to him. Spotrac's next highest projection for a contract at the left tackle position, do you know who it is? It's Cam Robinson.
No,
That's how bad the left tackle position is in free agency. It goes Rasheed Walker, Cam Robinson. So I think that pretty much sums up my point on that one. Real quick, I guess I got another note here. I'm sorry. I'm just rolling through my notes. Another cheaper option at tackle. This one is he's a 30-year-old, but he's projected again on a 1-year deal, and it's like a $1.6 million contract. It's Joseph Noteboom. Kenny, I think you and I highlighted Noteboom last offseason on this show. He played for the Ravens last year in Baltimore, so there is a connection that could tie him to Cleveland with Monken and Warhop. So those are some options at tackle that I think the Browns could pursue in free agency that would make sense. I just don't think it's Rasheed Walker, man. Just not for me.
Yeah, I forgot about Noteboom. And what was the thing last year? I think I kept calling him Notebloom. What was that?
You put an L in there, which is easy to do.
Yeah. And I forgot about that. I originally looked at that and I thought, a lot of the times when I take a look at players and I want to be very, very realistic of who the Browns will sign, it's who have they been coached by, right?
Yeah.
And that he makes it a big, that's a big connection, because I still think then you can get Caden Proctor late, not have to start him right away, you know?
Yeah.
But the guy that you said from Seattle was just as good as well. It's just there's the lack of connection between the guys on the offensive coaching.
Yeah, and that's a great point, and I want to talk about that real quick too. There are some good tackles that I think the Browns could hone in on and grab at 24 in the draft. If they don't go with a Maui Noah or Spencer Fano up top of the draft with their 6th pick, Monroe Freeling out of Georgia, like you just said.
Yeah, I like
Proctor,
him.
who I'm not super high on Caden Proctor in terms of if you need him to come in and be your day one starter at left tackle, that might be an issue. I think what you're saying here, though, if we sign one of these veterans that can come in and maybe start for even half the season, let the kid get up to speed and get to work, get him in the weight room for the NFL and let him kind of, come along in the process of the NFL life, could be a very good tackle. I just don't know if I'm comfortable thrusting him into a starting spot right away, but I think he's an interesting prospect.
Yeah, I'm definitely not. He would have like the attributes that you're looking for, the physical gifts that not a lot of guys can do, run fast at a high weight rate, big guy. That doesn't always translate very well right when you're first starting in the NFL. Speed rushers will take advantage of that. He needs to get used to it. I'd feel way better about having Freeling start the year. He's an athletic guy, kind of the guy that Monken knows because he probably recruited him or helped recruit. And the athletic guys do a little bit better with those speed rushers, right? So that was definitely my idea. And you had some great with Noteboom and the other guy from Seattle. Like those would be guys I'd want to start who are kind of used to the NFL grind and just gently add Proctor in, and I think that'd be fantastic. But that's a great note that you had about Noteboom.
Yeah. And if we're going to draft a guy to play left tackle, I would, and this maybe it's just me, maybe there's people out there that are like, it's not that big a deal to you guys. I want him to have played left tackle in college. I'm tired of taking right tackles for the Browns and trying to move them over to left tackle. We had Joe Thomas on the show last year and we asked him that question. How is it just an easy transition from one side to the other? And he explained it. He said, no, it's not. It's not just as simple as, doing things the opposite way on the other side. It is a big adjustment. So if you're going to take Maui Noah at 6, let him play right tackle. If you want a left tackle, you're at 24, you're probably looking guys like Freeling, Proctor, and probably Caleb Lomu out of Utah would be my guess if you're looking at left tackle at that spot.
Yeah, 100%, man. 100%.
This episode is sponsored by ButcherBox. Browns fans, with all the free agency and draft talk, that spring is right around the corner. And there's no better feeling than stepping into that sunshine, ripping off that old cover, and firing up the grill. And ButcherBox has the perfect deal for you to get the best meat onto that grill this spring. Head to butcherbox.com/dogs, DAWGS right now, and new users will get their choice between free chicken breasts for a year or ground beef in every box for the lifetime of their subscription. And if you're just placing a one-time order, make sure you guys use promo code DOGS, DAWGS at checkout to get our podcast discount. With ButcherBox, you get to choose your box and how often it's delivered. With the custom classic box, for example, you get exactly what you and your family need for the warmer weather. Choose from over 80 different products, including meat and seafood. Plus, you can manage your entire subscription online and change your box type, product selections, frequency, or delivery date anytime. Shipping is always free. Deliveries come straight to your door on your schedule, and you can cancel anytime. So what are you guys waiting for? Head over to butcherbox.com/dogs right now. New users, you guys are going to get your choice between free chicken breast for a year or ground beef in every box for the lifetime of your subscription. And again, if you're just placing a one-time order, use promo code DOGS at checkout for our podcast discount. That's butcherbox.com/dogs. This episode is sponsored by Better Sleep. Browns fans, I don't know about you guys, but the older I get, it seems like the more difficulty I have sometimes falling asleep. And it drives me absolutely bonkers because I'm tired all day, like 3 o'clock, 3:30 in the afternoon. I'm yawning. I'm barely keeping my eyes open. I sit on the couch at 8, 9 o'clock at night watching TV. I'm about ready to fall asleep. As soon as my head hits the pillow in bed, finally, boom, wide awake, can't fall asleep. So that's where Better Sleep could help you out. Better Sleep is one of the world's top-rated sleep apps that can help you fall asleep faster and wake up energized. There are over 300 sounds for you to customize and fall asleep to, including white noise, green noise, pink noise, ASMR, binaural beats, nature noises. There are hundreds of bedtime stories for adults featuring celebrities. Each story has been carefully selected to help you nod off. Personally, I'm more of just a white noise type of guy, but I tell you what, I do want to try out these bedtime stories. I know my wife has tried listening to the stories and some things like that to help her fall asleep, and it has been effective. So use our link to try 7 days for free at trybettersleep.co/dogs, DAWGS. Quit worrying about whether or not you're going to be able to fall asleep tonight. Let Better Sleep help you fall asleep faster. Again, take advantage of the 7-day free trial at trybettersleep.co/dogs.
I can move us on to the next one if you'd like.
You're going to have to, because I think that rounds out pretty much everybody that I had prepared for today on the offensive side of the ball. Again, I didn't have any defensive players for today. So, Kenny, whoever you got next, drop them.
Yeah, man, I actually do have a defensive player, and I've got John Franklin Myers. And I'll tell you, he's a defensive lineman. I looked under D tackles. I was looking specifically for an interior tackle that could create havoc and be pretty good against the run. I actually passed this guy over first because I just looked at his height and weight. He's 6'4", 288. I'm like, no thanks. And I kind of moved on to Nakobe Dean, but I couldn't make that work based on Schlesinger. So I went back to this guy. He's from Stephen F. Austin, and he was a 4th round draft pick by the Rams. The Rams generally get high motor guys. He's one of the NFL's most reliable, underrated defensive linemen. He kind of broke out with the Jets. He became a full-time starter there, and he earned a $55 million extension, kind of helped anchor that defensive front there, and now is a key contributor for the Broncos. And man, this guy, he's had 300 plus pressures since 2020. That's pretty impressive. And that's a guy I kind of like to have on the team. Versatility, 3 technique, 4-eye, 5 technique. He's effective inside. He can play the edge. So we know Rutenberg likes to disguise things. I don't think much is going to change with him on the front defensive line, but to have a guy that can play all across the line is pretty effective and a great thing to have. He's a consistent interior pass rusher, typically 5 to 7 sacks a season. The main thing is, and Blake always talks about this, we like Malik Collins for this, collapses the pocket and disrupts quarterbacks, and that'll help us. But here's what I didn't know. Strong at the point of attack for run defense, maintains gap discipline, and physically reliable. He's a high effort, consistency motor guy, rarely out of position, and he's dependable week to week. And these are all the things I've been outlining by the other 3 guys as well. Now, weakness, sometimes he wins with strength and technique more than elite explosiveness. I'm not going to apologize for that. I think this guy will be a fantastic addition for Mike Rutenberg's defense. I think typically, if you listen to the sit-down interview with Nathan Zagura, Moncton was saying before they had Rutenberg, they're looking for players on defense that play fast and attack aggressively. That's an elite trait that he has. We just kind of went over that. Again, I think across the board, Moncton's looking for versatility. Again, we said 3 technique, 5 technique, edge on early downs sometimes, like long downs. And he's a true disruptor. So as far as culture and effort, he's got a high effort on every snap. Physical play style, disciplined. He's very coachable. Big thing is he played with Robert Saleh's defense in the Jets. Well, guess who was there? Mike Rutenberg. I'm hoping there's a connection. I'm hoping Mike says, come and play for me. We talked about football IQ, and that's something that I'm really looking for. I can only tell you, like, based on tape, and this is what I've read, he rarely misses assignments, maintains gap discipline, and he executes consistently. So I think this guy is going to be a fantastic fit for our club. The Browns just if they want a true tone setter who fits into Rutenberg's aggressive, fast identity, this guy is the clear choice. He's been a steady force behind Denver's defenses. Try and say that. Success over the last 2 seasons, and this guy's recorded 95 total pressures in that time. Think about that coming up the middle. I mean, to help Miles maybe grab another sack record or get a defensive MVP. I think this guy is everything what I was hoping Mike Hall Jr. would be, and he's not. And I'm ready to sign this guy for 3 years, about 12 to 14 million.
I think that would be great. We obviously, I went through the roster and stuff. We need help on the defensive line. I mean, we've got Miles. Obviously, we just extended Alex Wright, and you've got Mason Graham and everything in there, and then Malik Collins, of course. But if any of those guys get hurt or they come out, or you're trying to rotate them in, we're screwed. We saw what happened last year. We lost Malik Collins, and he's coming off the injury now. So I don't know if he'll be, full speed, 100% Malik Collins right at the beginning of the season. We're going to need help in the middle. And I'm glad you mentioned Mike Hall. I'm not impressed with Mike Hall. I don't think I can rely on Mike Hall. He's going to have to prove me wrong and prove me that he can be what we drafted him in the second round to be, because so far he has not been that.
Yeah, and everything I read about this guy is everything that Mike Hall I thought was going to be and isn't. And the reason actually that I want to sign him is more for the Malik Collins effect, in case things just don't go well with his injury. If he doesn't heal up as well, if he's lost some explosiveness, whatever that he has to do to get out of that, I'm sure he will. And I hope that Mike Hall Jr. does better than what he's had. But I think this guy that's money on the table, and you're going to get results.
Absolutely. And, I guess I kind of lied. I do have a couple other guys I want to talk about. And I scrolled down here. I realized I did start working on the defensive line on some of these free agents. And the one guy that I was doing some work on, so I'll just mention him along with your John Franklin Myers here, is Tim Settle at the defensive tackle position. 6'3", 313. He's 28, played for the Houston Texans the last 2 seasons on that dominant defense. They got him, Spotrac, a 2-year, $7.4 million. That's $3.7 a year. Kind of fits that mold as well. He's a good player, reasonable contract, again, to add to that interior where we just need more reliable bodies behind the top 2 guys in Graham and Collins. So I threw Settle in there as well.
So I completely agree with you. It's a guy that I looked at. Between him, the guard Ed Ingram, and then I had a receiver, the guy that got cut from the Dolphins. Ultimately, that's what I was looking at for the Browns to sign. Not the sexiest picks to talk about, as far as like having a content for today and that kind of thing. But that's kind of what we're getting at. These 25 to 27-year-olds that we can get 2 to 3 years out that are $5 to $7 million, and that will fill out the roster for sure. The only guy that I did a little bit of work on, and I just couldn't fit him in. I'll go over him just real quick. I was looking at Nakobe Dean, and this guy is a linebacker. He's 5'11", 231 pounds, a little bit undersized. He kind of reminds me of Delvin Bush, and it was a guy that I was thinking we might sign in place of him, but he's a middle linebacker, and I just don't know if I want to do that. And we've been talking about how we don't like putting or jamming guys in positions where they'd never played that position before. Tarver seems to be a magic man with some of the linebackers that come through here. So maybe there's something based on his elite traits of speed and his range on the field that we could get something like a JOK player out of him, or a, if we don't re-sign Bush, something similar to that level. But again, he'd be not playing the position that he's good at, which is Mike, and we got a great one in Schlesinger, so I'm not really ready to bring any of those guys out of their roles just yet.
Yeah, totally understand that. And then, I know we're kind of wrapping it up here. And did you have anybody else on defense that you wanted to talk about before I move on?
No, those are the two guys I was kind of looking at.
Okay, so the last guy that I wanted to talk about, I've mentioned him on previous shows. I kind of forgot about him whenever I was putting everything together for today's show. But I got to talk about it because we desperately need the position. It might not be like a super sexy pick for the more or casual fan out there, but for me, I've just loved this guy since he came into the league. It's Cade Otton at tight end for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Browns have one tight end under contract. It's Harold Fannin Jr. He is not an inline blocking traditional archetype tight end. We need that, especially if we're going to be having one or potentially two rookie tackles. How about we put a legitimate veteran blocking tight end next to one of those tackles on these plays where we're going to be running 12 personnel, because Todd Monken likes to use his tight ends. Cade Otton to me is one of the best. He as far as an extension of the blocking game, that's where he excels. And he's a pretty darn good pass catcher too. He can be reliable. The thing with him in Tampa Bay, they had Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, and then Emeka Egbuka. They had Jalen McMillan last year. They've got a whole bunch of pass catchers that can get the job done. He was never like a top target for them. But when they needed him, let's see, this was in 2024. There was a 3-game stretch where I don't know if it was both Evans and Godwin were out, but either way, he had a 3-game stretch, Cade Otton did, where he had 31 targets, 25 catches, 258 yards, and 3 touchdowns over 3 games. And then his durability. This guy has played in 63 of his 68 career games over 4 seasons. He doesn't miss games. He's the dude that you see out there. He doesn't wear gloves. He's just barehanded blocking guys, making catches. I think that he would bring that mental toughness, the physicality, the leadership that a young roster needs. He's 26 years old, so he fits the mold too as a younger veteran that they could bring in. Spotrac says a 3-year, $23.7 million contract. That's about $8 million a year. I think he's worth it. I think he's worth it for what we don't have reliable pass catchers at the receiver position. We know Harold Fannin Jr. is great. Let's get a guy who can play the traditional tight end role, also be a reliable pass catcher, while we get a rookie receiver or two, some of these younger guys to continue to develop. But we need somebody to be able to do those things. And for me, it's Cade Otton.
Oh yeah, he's a lighter version statistically of like Mark Andrews. He's not as athletically gifted, but I think he'd be like Zach Ertz, and that would definitely be somebody you'd want on your team. It's somebody that I would want on my team. I know a lot of people want to hear Isaiah Likely's name, but Isaiah Likely is really Harold Fannin Jr., and you don't want two of those guys really on your team. You need a inline blocker / a receiver tight end, and then you just need a blocking tight end, and then you need a weapon, because Fannin Jr. is just really a weapon. But I don't know what an offense would look like if you had two Harold Fannins in it. You wouldn't complain about it, number one, but definitely you need something. If you're going to run a 21 personnel, you got to have slightly different sets of tight ends.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know there's all kinds of different terminology used out there that all kind of mean the same thing. Harold Fannin Jr. is like a utility back, is what he is, because you can put him at tight end, you can put him in the slot, you can put him out wide, you can put him in the backfield at fullback. You can line him up all over the formation, and he's going to go out there and make a play. That's not, that's a specifically, a specific type use player, but you need your inline blocking, get your hand in the dirt, go out and maul a guy, go out and make a catch, that kind of thing. So that for me would be Cade Otton, because that was David Njoku, right? He was your guy you leaned on for the blocking and all that stuff, who could also go out and make plays. So we gotta replace that position.
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually, after everybody that we've spoke about, I think that would be my highest priority to sign is Cade Otton right now. I know we need tackles. I know we need guards. We're going to get those. But to make the offense work, I think you can, like we've been saying, there's a couple guys that we've had in mind between the two of us at the guard position, at the tackle position. But if you look at, do you really want to develop a tight end early in the draft, or would you like a guy that's established, like a Zach Ertz type guy that can get the chains moving, make some blocks? That guy sounds important. Very, very important to the offense.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I think that pretty much does it for today's free agency preview. Obviously, we'll be doing a little bit more of these as the next couple of weeks go on, because we're going to need to sign a cornerback or two. We're going to need to add some safety help, linebackers. As far as a priority re-sign, you mentioned him, but Devin Bush, it'd be great to get him back on this defense. We'll see if they're able to do that. Otherwise, Carson Schlesinger is really the only established linebacker currently on the roster. We need help at all these positions. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. How did Kenny and I do on our free agency breakdown? Did you guys learn some names that you like? Did you agree with me on some of the guys that I presented that I'm not so high on? Let us know what you guys think. If there's other names out there in free agency that you want to see the Browns go in on, or you'd like us to break down on the show, put it in the comments and we'll see if we can accommodate. Kenny, I appreciate you jumping in here and doing this with me today. Again, if you guys want to chat with us on a more consistent basis in the Discord about this type of stuff, you want to talk Browns 24/7 in the best online Browns fans community, it is jointhedogs.com. So head over there, support the show, hang out with everybody in the Discord. It's a great time. It really is. It's a ton of fun. So Kenny, enjoy the weather down there. It's not as bad as it is in Ohio, but I know it's not what you were hoping for in Florida.
Definitely I'll enjoy some sunshine, but this is not coming off today.
That's too bad. It's always sucks when you try to go somewhere that's supposed to be warm and it's not.
Yeah. Thanks, El Nino.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys in the next one. Let's go Brownies.
Let's go Brownies.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dogs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at the Dogs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedogspodcast.com.
This episode is sponsored by ISSA. Browns fans, if you're into health and fitness, have you ever wondered how you could maybe turn those hobbies and your passion into an actual career? If that sounds interesting to you, then ISSA has the opportunity you've been looking for. ISSA is the International Sports Science Association, and they can help you become a certified personal trainer in as little as 3 months. And right now you can get $100 off your certification when you sign up through our link, joinissa.com/dogs, DAWGS. Now, certifications are 100% online, self-study, and self-paced. You can study anywhere from your phone, tablet, or computer. And the final exam is open note, open book, aka piece of cake. Except you fitness nuts probably don't eat a ton of cake, so let's just call it a piece of delicious protein bar. And ISSA has the #1 job guarantee in the industry. If you get certified and sign up to be a certified trainer with ISSA, you have a job guarantee or your money back. ISSA has over 10,000 gym partners that have over 73,000 open jobs for trainers right now. And you don't